You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome back to Punk Vacation, an unofficial Vinegar Syndrome podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As you have heard me say now a few times, I am working hard to find the joy in unfettered creativity, trying to make a podcast dedicated to bringing awareness and context to movies from any budget, from anywhere, during any time. I've been a subscriber since Black Friday of 2021, and I've interviewed a lot of the OCN partner labels. I'm just a big fan of Vinegar Syndrome and watching them become kind of an industry powerhouse. And I thought it'd be fun to track along and just see how high they can grow as a company, and I'm hoping to build a community here. And I think today's episode is a great example of what I'm trying to do. Super excited to meet Jaden, and I'll introduce him here in just a second, and we'll get into the interview. But really appreciative of him coming on. And if anybody listening is just a huge geek for Vinegar Syndrome and wants to come on and talk, let me know. I might want to get to know you a little bit first, but I'm essentially open to it. I mean, in my mind, this is really a podcast for the community and for the people that love these wacky movies. And I feel a kindred spirit to all of y'all. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you're so inclined to want to talk on one of these, we'll try to fit it in. All right, let's jump in. I'm excited to see what Jaden has to say. Man, it feels every month I love doing these announcement episodes. It feels something different about doing them in October. Really excited to be here talking about Vinegar Syndrome announcements on October 1st, probably 2nd by the time y'all hear this. And I've got something that I hope is a really exciting treat for everyone, something I'm super excited about. I'm going to give the background of why Jaden Christopher's on the show, but right out of the gate, Jaden, thank you so much for making some time.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So Jaden and I met on the Vinegar Syndrome Discord and kind of hit it off. I would call you a Vinegar Syndrome super fan, although I'd say that about anybody who found their way to a Discord about
Yeah.
Vinegar Syndrome. How long have you been on the Discord? You've been there for a while, right? Several years?
Yeah. I want to say I joined the Discord around like mid to late 2021. That's really when I started like noticing Vinegar Syndrome and Severin and labels that were a little bit more niche. Niche compared to like, other ones. But yeah, I've been there for a couple of years and I met some cool people and you and I hit it off pretty quick. Um, So yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad this is a thing, man. I've been looking forward to like a Vinegar Syndrome podcast coming out for years, and we finally got one.
Me too. And that's the thing. I was like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I was like, man, no one's doing this. I was like, all right. I mean, I have a Zoom account. Like,
Yeah.
let's see if we can figure it out. But yeah, it's so cool you're here. If there's like different personalities within the Discord, you certainly have like I think for me, like you're somebody that loves horror and loves
Yeah.
slasher, loves franchises. Like it seems like you go pretty deep into like both studio, regional, and kind of independent horror, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my heart will always be with like the big franchises, and that's kind of what people will clown me for. But
Yeah.
I do love
Uh-huh.
all walks of horror, and I love finding out from new decades, from new areas of the world. And that's kind of what drew me to Vinegar Syndrome in the first place, is because like I'd say 75% of their catalog I've never heard of, which as a
Uh,
horror fan is so exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you remember how you first discovered them? Is it the front door through porn or the back door through like some other way?
Um, so I'm trying to remember. I
A long
feel like
hesitation to try to not say porn.
I want to say it was leading up to the summer sale of 2021.
From-
I had just come across like a couple of live streams going on, like talking about the sale, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Because like I had known about, I'd started collecting Scream Factory and Arrow and like a little bit of Severin, and then
Oh,
I heard of Vinegar Syndrome, and I watched the stream, and it had like a bunch of recommendations, and that year I went all out on my purchases. I spent like $400 on Vinegar Syndrome. Um,
uh,
but
yep.
yeah, it was a fun time.
Man, I'm nowhere near complete on them, but I still have like 200 titles, and I feel
Wow.
like I don't know like how you. I guess unless you're just early days, like at this point, it's like you could buy a house if you're trying to go complete on them if you're playing catch up, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
there's no way I could ever like I've thought about like what labels I would even want to do that for. You really got to start from like some labels that are coming up now. You could do it with like Celluloid
yeah,
Dreams. Like you could
yeah,
definitely complete that or Visual Vengeance, but Vinegar Syndrome, I got like 50 titles and I'm trying to narrow my wish list down to like 50 itself so I don't lose my mind. But
yeah. Good shout out for Visual Vengeance. They're doing a similar type of thing with. I love those titles. They might have artwork that is like as soon as you see it, you know it's a Visual Vengeance release.
yeah, their artwork's amazing.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, so we're going to do a couple different things today together. We're going to go over their new releases on the main line. There's some Vinegar Syndrome archive titles. There's a Cinematograph title. And then we're going to go over just brief, kind of just skim through the OCN stuff and debate if it's necessary to have Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 or whatever it is. And then we're going to talk about go looking back catalog a little bit, and you brought 4 or 5 of your kind of favorite Halloweeny themed kind of horror films, right?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. And I did not understand the assignment, even though you were very clear about it. So I just brought 5 horror films. So
No,
no.
that's fine.
But yeah, we'll have some fun. So speaking of underseen titles, I mean, let's just get into it, right? They're all the way
Yeah.
up to 480 before this month. They're all the way up to 480 releases on the main line.
Hmm.
Um, and they added 6 titles this month, those fuckers. And so this it's a good month to be a subscriber, I guess. I don't know. I guess by the way you're kind of phrasing your wish list and stuff, I guess you're not a subscriber, right?
I'm not. I hope to be one day, but it's always like pulling the trigger.
No, I mean, let's just be real. It's $1,000. Like, it's not an easy
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, yeah. Good. This is one of those months where it feels like, okay, good. Like,
Mhm.
you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
Um, so 481 right out of the gate, they come with the first nation slasher.
They have disturbed the resting place of the ghost of Nahala, a renegade who never accepted peace with the whites, and he sends his messages to them. Only one ritual will save her from his spell. Watch it on Ghost Dance.
I've never heard Native American slasher, Indian slasher, First Nation slasher. I've never heard these words together.
Yeah, it's a the only one I can think of kinda would Memorial Valley Massacre count? It has like
Maybe, yeah, yeah, I guess so. A little bit.
but yeah, no,
Um,
this one's so interesting. I
but
had
this
never
one,
heard of this before.
again, like we're kind of, I don't know much about it, but apparently it's really steeped in like Native American folklore, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those ones. And we were looking it up before we started recording. The director's recorded one thing in his whole life. I mean,
Yeah.
directed one movie, which is this, right? So, um, I don't know. Yeah, I can't wait to see this one. This one looks wild.
Yeah, I remember hearing like the week leading into this, I had heard the rumor that Ghost Dance would be the title, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then I looked into it, and you know, it kind of seems like it could be super offensive, but that can also be super fun from like an early 80s movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It could either be that or it could be super enlightening. I don't know, but you know, I'm
If you had to place your money on one of the two.
I think probably the latter.
You know what though? I'm just looking up so there's this is the funny thing about like the film industry, I guess, right? There's always like some connection, somebody in the movie that was like deeply involved in Hollywood. And this time it looks like it's the cinematographer. This dude,
Yeah, wow.
this dude Fred Murphy, he was a cinematographer for Q, The Winged Serpent early on. Have you seen that Larry Cohen film?
I have. I love that movie.
So good, right? That's fascinating. So this dude's like a legitimate cinematographer. So that's good. The movie should be beautiful looking.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah. You could
the
definitely get some
Mothman
good visuals
prophecies, I
with what they're
mean, I
going
guess.
for.
Wait, you what?
No, I was just saying you could get some great visuals with what they're going for. Like
Totally.
for
Oh,
this
Freddy
movie.
versus Jason. What the fuck? That's wild.
Yeah, RV.
Yeah. Yeah, so this dude's a legitimate, seasoned cinematographer. I guess this is early on in his career in 1982. Um, so it looks like they went back and they found, oh, that's interesting. They found a TV historian, Amanda Ray. Oh, yeah, I know Amanda Ray is. Her stuff is great. So she's, no, she's a film historian too. And then a genre critic and author, Jay Kurzweil. I don't know if this shows my ignorance, but I don't know the name Jay Kurzweil. I don't
No,
know if
yeah,
they,
I haven't heard them. I know of Amanda Reyes because I think I own one of her books. Yeah, I'm not sure who that is though.
yeah, I know Amanda Reyes is awesome. She's That's really cool that she's got on here. But it looks like they found Peter Buffa. They pulled him out of the grave, so to speak, and they got him to talk on here, which is awesome. And then
Yeah,
one of the
looking into the past, 25 minutes, that's pretty good.
oh yeah, and then the other writer they got, and then stunt coordinator. Oh, that makes me excited if they found the stunt coordinator.
Don Shanks. I feel like I've heard that name before.
I don't
Don
know.
Shanks.
That's a good
Oh
tie-in
my
to.
God. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, tell me,
Uh,
what'd you find?
he was Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Oh,
That's how I recognize him.
oh man,
Wow.
there you go. Well,
Yeah,
the ghost dance, everybody.
a
Uh,
lot of
and
interesting tidbits. I love the artwork. I mean, you can always count on Vinegar Syndrome to do like cool ass art.
oh yeah, they don't reference the artwork by.
Hmm.
Usually, they call out the artist. Um, oh well, maybe they'll do it on the release date. I hope
Yeah.
they call it out 'cause, yeah, it's delicious artwork here. Okay, oh shit, man, I can't believe this. So I'm so pissed. Okay, so 482 is a movie called The Tenant,
Yep.
and I'm so pissed at them for this because, like I said, I'm a subscriber, and I don't mean to sound like one of these guys, but I kind of refuse to own a Roman Polanski movie
Hmm.
because the dude's kind of a shitbag.
Yeah. I don't blame
And now I know this movie's supposed to be amazing. I get it. And I'll watch it now because I'm gonna talk about it in a month.
you.
But
Yeah.
like, I was like, damn it, y'all. Have you seen The Tenant by chance?
I haven't, but I know it's part of his apartment trilogy, which
Yeah.
was this Rosemary's Baby, and I'm forgetting the other one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat with you as like with Roman Polanski films. I feel kind of weird buying them, like at least where I know like money can be traced back to him and he
Yeah.
could get any profit from it because he's still making shit. Um,
Right.
and you know, if people do, I'm not gonna shit on him for it. But yeah, just not I wouldn't seek this out unless I was buying it secondhand personally.
Repulsion, I think, is the movie you're thinking about.
Repulsion, yep. Yeah, I think
Um,
Criterion did that.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think that's right. But anyways, I mean, have you seen? So one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why I've been curious about this movie, and I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of excited to see it, even though with everything I said.
Yeah.
One of the things is, have you ever seen Possession before?
Yes, I have. That was my most excited part of this movie too.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And then Isabel, well, I guess we should say it. So Isabella Johnny's in this, who's just such an amazing actress. Shelley
Yeah.
Winters, who was like freaking Shelley Winters. And then this is a crazy tie-in. He got Sven Nykvist. So I don't know how deep you've gone down into Ingmar Bergman. Have you gone down that rabbit hole at all?
I haven't, no.
So Sven Nykvist is this dude, or probably it's Swedish, so it's probably Nyqvist. I'm sure somebody's pissed at me the way I'm saying it, but he's this dude who like kind of like a little bit like Night of the Hunter or something, where a little bit like some of Orson Welles movies, like the stuff that he's able to do with shadow work and like contrast between colors and contrast between black and white, and like creating like a depth of scene is just incredible. Like the guy is just an amazing visual artist.
Hmm.
And so I already know the movie's gonna look good. There's an amazing cast. I know Polanski's a good writer, director, which, you know, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
looks like I'm finally gonna pop my Polanski cherry, which is
You
probably the
know,
worst analogy to use for this.
yeah, probably. The actual film like definitely interests me.
Yeah,
But as you said, he is a great filmmaker, regardless of everything. So, this release also looks beautiful.
I
So down the road, I do want to own it, however I get it, whatever. But yeah, a huge release though. Like honestly, like it's like I feel like The Tenant is a pretty big name horror film,
yeah,
and it's not as though like Vinegar Syndrome hasn't put those out, but they're not every month, so it's cool when you get to see those.
yeah. It's a huge movie. Um, and they did it right. I mean, this is one of their releases. They have a it's one of the magnet window boxes, so it like kind of shuts itself. Um,
Hmm.
and um, and it has like a huge book in it. Let's see if it has 40-page book. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a huge seller for them.
Oh yeah.
I get we were talking about that right before we started, right? Like this is one of those movies that probably pays for, five more Ghost dances, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Like every time they get this or Roadhouse or Texas Chainsaw 2 or yeah, they're always high sellers. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. Let's see, they're doing a limited edition box that opens and closes in the middle, kind of like windows, which I'm sure that'll look really cool on the shelf.
yeah.
And then it looks like they do have a standard as well. How do you feel about yeah, how do you feel about the way that Vinegar Syndrome has progressively become more expensive every month? Do you feel the pinch?
Um, like I used to be a little bit more upset about it, but now that I think I fully understand like how much work goes into putting out 4K specifically and the deluxe packaging, like $45 isn't that bad.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot worse from like a Severin. There's definitely companies that do worse prices. And the first time I remember a release like this coming out that was like really deluxe was Thriller,
Yep.
which people went fucking nuts for. I'm more open to them now, though, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because it's like you gotta kind of like I've always talked about it because before Vinegar Syndrome, I came into Vinegar Syndrome through like the art house world. Like my
Mhm.
path is more like Criterion kind of, and then like thinking I'm better than everybody, and then slowly like working my way down into the gutter and realizing I like it here better.
Yeah,
Um, and like this journey, like when I first saw Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, some of these ones, I was like, dude, I'm not paying that much for this movie. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
But now I'm like, I'm all in. I
yeah,
just, I don't know, like, it's just cool, right? Like I mean, who knows how much licensing alone costs for the tenant, right? Like you said, let alone to restore it and put it out on
yeah,
4K. I guess we should spend a second talking about what else is on the disc. So it is newly scanned and restored. They have the OCN, which totally makes sense. I mean, I'm sure this is sitting in Paramount's vault somewhere.
yeah.
They got Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson. It's funny. I was really surprised. Do you know the name Sam Deegan as a commentary person?
I do, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure like she loves the director and film. So I was a little surprised that she wasn't on here. But anyways, Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson obviously do a great job. They actually got Polanski as an interview. What the hell? Oh, I bet it has to be archival, right?
Yeah, yeah, I can't imagine they got a new one with him.
No, there's no way. But they have one of the actors, Andre Penvarin. They bring Stephen Thrower in. Have you read any of Stephen Thrower's stuff? That dude is a
I have.
encyclopedia. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a master in his art. Like I have the volume two of the Franco book, and I have the Fulci book, and they're like masterpieces and biographies in my opinion. Like they're so good.
Yeah, they're so good. Assistant cameraman, that's interesting. I want to hear this guy Francois Queton just talk about working with Sven Nykvist because that's like, I bet that was a wild experience.
Yeah.
Separate interview with the script supervisor, that's interesting. That's the one you don't see a lot, but I bet that'd be a cool
Hmm.
story. I bet she has some good stories. Um, let's see, it's two co-writers. Wait, what? Oh, okay. They found an archival interview from a French journalist, I guess, with two of the writers. So one is Roland Topper and one is Harald Brock. It looks like they found two interviews.
Hmm.
And then they take a trip to the locations. That's interesting. Um,
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's like a Horror's Hallowed Grounds or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, even just the trailer alone makes this film look, I mean, like as far as the restoration makes it look beautiful. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
this film. Okay, now we're cooking. So 483, my favorite cover of the month, um, and the one I'm most excited about, Corpse Mania. Have you seen this one? I have not seen the movie yet, but have you seen it?
I've only seen the first 20 minutes, but it hooked me. I think I'm gonna buy this one.
Yeah, the reason I'm so excited about it is the director is Chi Hung Kwe, and this dude is just like an absolute legend. Probably most famous for Boxer's Omen.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, and just an absolute legend of like sort of Shaw Brothers and crazy batshit movies.
Hex. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see what's it called? Corpse Mania. I'm super excited about this one. What's your experience with a lot of like Hong Kong cinema and kind of Chinese cinema?
Um,
Do you like it? Do you avoid it?
no, I'm the opposite. I really want to dive deep into it. This past summer I kind of started to explore a little bit and I watched Mr. Vampire
Hell yeah.
and a couple of other flicks. I watched Dr. Lamb, and I'm fascinated by Hong Kong horror specifically. I've seen other Hong Kong films, the different genres, but horror specifically, they got really wild with some of that,
What a
and the
funny one-two
Cat 3
punch.
stuff.
Yeah. To go from Mr. Vampire to Dr. Lamb.
Yeah, very different movies, but
Talk about some rip.
um, yeah, no, I love that Vinegar Syndrome is doing more Asian films that, like they put out some cool ones like Bio Zombie,
Hell yeah.
um, and the erotic ghost, or not the erotic ghost story. What was it? Chinese torture chamber story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they've got some good stuff cooking. I think all the Hong Kong films specifically, I'm gonna look out for.
Yeah, me too. Have you seen Chinese torture chamber story, by the way?
I've seen, I've
Or have you?
seen clips
Okay, yeah.
and they're amazing.
My favorite, like I'm a little bit jaded as like, well, first of all as a person, but second of all as like a movie watcher.
Mhm.
It's really hard to get me to like laugh out loud. And when she yells, I don't know if you saw this in the clip, but there's a scene with that wuxia fighting, right? That wuxia like kind of
Yeah.
wide frame fighting style where they're having it's just a full-on sex scene.
Yep.
And she shouts at this dude, oral attack, and like jumps at the guy and like flips upside down to go for like a standing 69. Dude, I lost it. I was like, what am I watching? This is incredible. Oh man. Yes. People in Hong Kong have an amazing imagination and they capture it all.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen this one. I think they were saying that it was like Giallo inspired, which is really interesting. I haven't watched, to my knowledge, any like Italian Giallo inspired Hong Kong films, so that's a bit of a draw for me.
I would bet money that that means there's a killer in a black glove that like you don't know their identity for a few minutes.
Yeah,
I bet you I'll be curious to see if that what plays out, but I bet it's something like that.
yeah, most
Good
likely.
catch. Gelled lighting. I mean, it seems like, yeah, the description makes it seem very compelling. Super happy that Sam Deegan, well, speaking of her, she's got a commentary on here. And then somebody whose name probably means something different in China, Minge Beaver Quay is on here with a commentary track. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm sure it's Ming Beaver, but that's it's a fascinating name. It's
That
the
is an interesting name.
yeah, it's the son of the director though, which is awesome. Uh,
Hmm.
so there's two full commentary tracks on here. There's a they talk about the box office with the producer, which is super interesting. That should be a pretty cool interview.
Yeah,
Um, the two video interviews, one with the cinematographer, and one a separate interview with the son of the director Chi Hung Kuei. Then there's a video essay by Grady Hendrix. There's another name that just like I don't know. I get excited every time I see Grady's name.
yeah. Yeah, I'm really, I'm interested in the stuff with the son of the director. It's got to be a lot of fun to sit back and watch your dad's film. And I'm sure it's a crazy ride, like
Yeah,
just the name and premise.
talk about a legacy, huh? Like
Yeah.
you leave your son Hex in Boxer's Home and equips me. Like he's just
Yeah.
like, what is my dad on? I love it. I mean, yeah, this is probably the one in the of the mainline titles that I like feel the most like I know it the best and I'm the most excited about.
Hmm.
I was super pumped they got this, especially
Yeah.
with like every label getting Shaw Brothers titles and now it feels like it's a kind of a flooded.
Yeah. It's a good time to be a fan of like Hong Kong cinema. There's so much coming out from all around the globe. Like so many UK labels, so many Region A labels. Like it's pretty crazy.
I know, and they're all limited too, so you've got to like figure out how to try to not spend.
Yeah. Not go bankrupt.
Exactly. So that was 481, 482, 483. Now 484 is a three film box set because they're overachievers.
Yeah.
And I had to double check. I can't believe that there's seven volumes of Forgotten Jolly. Like,
Yeah, it feels like the first ones were out not that long ago.
yeah, it's kind of how I feel too. It was I went back and I like looked. I was like, wait, are you sure there's seven volumes? Did you get your math wrong? But they have again like three movies for $60, which is not bad.
No,
Comes in a typical box. Oh I see where they're listing the designers. They do it up top. So this is another Robert Samlin artwork. He always does good work on horror stuff.
yeah,
It's nice. Um, so there's three movies. One of them is about a call girl called Mystère. And it looks like so there's a this the director is Carlo Vancina. I swear I know that name for something, but anyways, I'll get to the director in a second. But I'm super excited for this one because it has Carol Bouquet. Do you know who that is by name?
I don't by name.
So she's one of the most beautiful women.
Oh,
You recognize her image, right?
yeah,
Yeah, she was in a lot of stuff. Obscure Object of Desire is the movie that I got to know her. So, but like she was like an art house, like very well respected actor, um, or actress or whatever. So it's cool. She was in a Bond movie. She was a Bond girl. I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool to see her in the box set. Um,
Yeah,
so
it looks
that's
like there's an actor from Tenebrae. in this film as well, and an actress from Love Camp. And I'm not sure, is that the Nazi exploitation Love Camp, or is there another Love Camp I'm thinking of?
Well, especially with Gabrielle Tinti in it. So let's see. So Gabrielle Tinti is another one who is really great. Actually, this movie has a fantastic cast. Actually, let's see. Uh, he was. Um, have you been going through the Emmanuel box set at all?
I haven't. I've only seen the cannibal film.
Okay, so Gabriel Tinti is a guy who was married to I'm sorry, the Black Emmanuel box set. That's kind of an important distinction, I guess, because of like
Yeah.
I look differently. But he was married to the lead actress Laura Gemser,
Oh wow. Okay.
and so he's in like a lot of those. So he's a very like well-known sort of actor in exploitation and genre films.
Hmm.
Yeah, good catch on calling him out. It's interesting they chose to call Love Camp out as opposed to the dozen Emmanuel movies he's in. But
Yeah.
anyways, or just saying Laura Gemser's husband or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's a fantastic actor in this world, and um, I'm excited to see this one. They go typically on these, they go a little bit like not too crazy on special features, but there's a lot on this. They've got a commentary track, an interview with the writer. What else are you seeing? They've got
A
an interview.
production designer. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I wonder if this is one of these movies that looks really beautiful. I bet it, with this cast and this crew, I bet it's something that's a visually appealing, like a visually, pretty movie.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. That commentary as well. There's like I feel like a lot of these releases kind of a who's who of film historians that you see on physical media releases. Like I've seen Ercolani on a lot of stuff, especially Italian films like Nathaniel Thompson and Troy Howarth, as we were talking about before. So
literally wrote.
that's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Ercolani's the man. Have you seen the interview on the Disconnected that he did, or any interview with him? I guess.
I haven't. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's just such a like. There's certain people that you just want to like cheer him on. Like he just loves this
Yeah.
stuff so much. The next movie, if you take away the cast and just kind of look at like what the movie's about, this is one that I'm probably the most interested in. It's called Obsession: A Taste for Fear. It's a '87 movie directed by Picchio Raffanini, and it looks like it's called a set in a semi-futuristic technology infused world.
Hmm.
Diana's a top photographer for erotic and fashion magazines whose sexually liberated lifestyle carries over to her work. And there's a murder. Bum, bum, bum. So
Yeah,
yeah,
this is it's interesting. It kind of like gives me like Blood and Black Lace vibes almost, like but like more sexy. Um, I am always interested in like fashion and photography and stuff like that in film. I think it always looks like beautiful.
totally. Yeah, and there's not only that, but it sounds like this is gonna have a killer soundtrack. So I'm interested in this one sentence here where it says never legally available on disc. The word legally is very interesting to me. Like what does that mean? Because they have like some of these movies they'll try to release, but it's like blocked because of soundtrack stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's that or if it's something else. But
Hmm.
this sounds like one that they would have had to put a lot of work into. Literally never available on disc. That's wild.
Yeah. And I noticed in the description photography by Romano Albani, who was in who worked on Phenomena, which Phenomena is visually a stunning film, so that definitely adds interest for me. Not gonna lie.
Isn't Phenomena the one where the movie's kind of saved by a lab assistant ape?
Yeah, there is a chimp that saves the day. It's amazing.
What a great plot point. But you're right. No, the movie's beautiful, and even just like working with Argento is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So let's see. They got Eugenio Ercolani and Eugenio Ercolani and Nathaniel Thompson. Looks like they got the director to come on and do an interview, which is great.
Yeah.
Production supervisor. Yeah, so this is another one. What is the one that's like so Blow Up is a movie set like in the fashion world where there becomes kind of a thriller.
Yeah.
What are some other ones that are sort of set in the fashion world? Because there's one that's coming to mind. I just can't think of the name, but you're right. They are usually very beautiful visually.
Yeah, the one I immediately go to is Blood and Black Lace.
Oh, true, true,
Mario
true.
Bava, that in that film, like gorgeous. Like that's its visuals are probably my favorite part of the movie.
Of course,
Um,
they call up.
yeah, I think it's a world in like a profession where you can get so many like interesting shots. You can get like beautiful clothing. So I think this one out of all three is probably going to be the one I check out.
Yeah, and it has a special feature called a taste for synth, which immediately makes me want to watch it.
Yeah.
And then a little cheeky title called "Cinema Killed the Video Star" for a video essay by Rachel Nisbet, who I know that name. What is Rachel Nisbet? I know that name. I think she's a fairly,
Yeah, I've also
oh, she's a film critic specializing in Italian genre cinema. Yeah, I can't remember where I've seen her, but I know that name. I think I've seen her on some releases before. Anyways, but yeah, awesome. Obsession, A Taste for Fear is the second one. And then going down to a Franco Ferrini film, also from '87, called Sweets from a Stranger. I mean, the title alone, you know you're not supposed to do that.
yeah.
Um,
You know,
so
I'm
it's,
curious. I'm curious if they got inspiration from Hammer, because isn't there Never Take Candy from a Stranger or Never Take Sweets from a Stranger? I feel like that's a Hammer film.
oh, good call out. What is that? Yeah, I saw that. I saw that movie. That was years ago. Never take, um, yeah, never take candy from a stranger. Yeah, never take sweets from a stranger. Yeah, it's like it's kind of set up like a PSA almost, right?
Yeah.
Um, this is the one where yeah. I just wanted to double check. This is the one that's like really gets like kind of fucked up because I think it's about pedophilia. Yeah. Um, but that's never take sweets from a stranger. And this is just simply sweets from a stranger. So this is not necessarily discouraging it.
Yeah.
Although we know better.
I wonder
Um,
if it has similar themes.
yeah. So the one interesting thing about this, there's always like I feel like in a lot of Vinegar Syndrome titles, there's something that's like unique creatively about the movie that you're just like, wait, what? And this
Yeah.
one is the killer is a bicycle riding, razor wielding killer. So I'm curious to see, is he like drive by like slashing people? I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And I realized Franco Ferrini, I believe he co-wrote some Argento films and a couple of Soavi films as well. So, well versed in genre cinema. And I
Yeah.
believe this was his only directorial role. So that always interests me.
Yeah. He was all around the Italian like film scene. So he was a writer on Phenomena. So we have a cinematographer for Phenomena before, and now he was the writer, the person who wrote it. He wrote Demon, so Lamberto Bava. He wrote like, yeah, what is it? We're on his IMDb page now, 63 titles. So he wrote a
Yeah.
lot. Um, Once Upon a Time in America, that's awesome. I mean, this dude is a legitimate writer.
Wow, most recently with the Dark Glasses.
That's crazy. Yeah, he wrote the Goodbye Kiss. Oh, this is the Goodbye Kiss is the new Swabi movie that I haven't seen, but it's supposed to be pretty good. Did
Oh yeah,
you?
crime thriller, right?
Yeah. But I mean, he's all over. Like if you go back into the '90s, so he wrote the story for the Stendhal syndrome. Have you seen that one yet? Because you saw all the
Oh yeah.
Argento, right?
Yeah, I've seen every Argento film. Stendhal, in my opinion, is Argento's last masterpiece. I don't think it's opera. I think he had one more left in him.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Stendhal syndrome. Um, both the story is good, but like visually, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Two Evil Eyes, he did one, yeah, The Black Cat. Okay, there's another one. He wrote the screenplay for The Church. Okay, interesting. So the screenplay for The Church is a mess.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Maybe it wasn't his. Oh, he wrote opera. Damn. Yeah, this dude's all over.
Yeah, he's done a lot. Nothing Underneath. That was a film Vinegar Syndrome put out.
Yeah.
I saw Trauma in there earlier, an
Yeah.
Argento film they put out. So yeah.
Yeah, he was all over. So Franco Frini, and this is a film he directed. About time he gets his due.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
starring Barbara de Rossi, which is great. He has beautiful cast, and yeah. All right, so there's their Forgotten Jolly Volume 7. I think actually I'm pretty excited about this one. These are some, I guess technically Forgotten Jolly, but some like they're just like right under the surface. Like they have some strong connections.
Yeah, talking about it more definitely got me more interested. And I think the time period fascinates me as well because it's like mid to late 80s. So Italian horror was kind of on the downswing. So it's yeah, cool box set. There's a lot of erotic films in there too. So for all you sickos.
Plenty to watch. Speaking of sickos,
Yeah.
this cover art. So the next title was so that's it for VS Mainline. Six titles over three spine numbers. One of them is a three film box set. Now we're all the way up to 480. No, four spine numbers. Wait, is it seven movies? I keep saying no, it's six. Six. Four
Yeah.
spine numbers, six movies. Yeah, yeah. We're all the way up to 484 now. So they're gonna hit, let's see, November they'll get up to like 487. So no, they're not gonna hit 500 this year, but kind of fairly early next year they'll be at 500, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They have to be, I mean, Kino's like the one where they put everything out on disc. And I mean, they have some great titles. After
Oh
Kino,
God,
it's
yeah.
probably Criterion, but then is Vinegar Syndrome third in terms of just like number of releases? Because they're past Scream Factory, right? They don't have Scream Factory doesn't have 500 movies, do they?
Um, under the Scream Factory banner, they may have around there, but then you got Shout on there as well. So
Yeah,
I'm honestly not sure, but Vinegar Syndrome, yeah, their catalog is massive now. It's insane.
it's crazy. I mean, 2000, I wonder, and they're also just doing so many a month now. I'll have to do the
Yeah.
math one day to figure out how long it takes them to get to 1,000, but it probably won't be that long.
No, yeah. And then you got all the partners too, so it's like, yeah, that so much there on that site.
Speaking of partners and sub-labels, what's your experience with Vinegar Syndrome Archive? Do you collect any of these, or are you just kind of, if something catches your attention, you'll do it?
Thankfully, I don't. I know that I've seen so many people struggle with trying to collect VSAs, and I've seen how crazy they go when they're out of print. So I feel
Yeah.
like there would, even if I wanted to get into them now, there's no chance. But they tend to be more. I've seen a lot of like action films that aren't super interesting to me. Like there's a couple, like Boggy Creek 2 was one that interested me. I actually own one. I own Grave Secrets, which I've still yet to watch, but people tell me is pretty bad. Um, so it's not my favorite line. I think I prefer VSLs and VSUs even, but hey, it's popular.
Yeah, I got lucky and came in early, so I'm currently complete on VSAs. Um,
Wow.
and there's nothing that I had to spend big money on. They used to they didn't put them out once a month. You know, when they started, it was less frequent. So I was like, oh, here's is a cute little thing to do on the side project. But like, no, this side piece became demanding, man.
Yeah.
Like this is title 49. Like,
Yeah, that's insane.
what is Visual Vengeance up to? Like 16?
Yeah.
And they've been out for like 3 years.
49. Wow.
Yeah. So this sub label's out of control. I love it though, man. I like. I like a lot of the action stuff. Like that's more. I didn't really grow up with horror. Like I grew up more with
Hmm.
action stuff. So this one always feels good. Um,
It's fair.
this is a so oh yeah, we didn't say the name. So Mindbenders, 1987 again. So we're hitting 1987 hard this time.
Yeah.
It's an over-the-top and zany sci-fi comedy. Oozing with mid 80s. So I guess if you're gonna have an action line, I guess it's hard to do October. So this is probably the closest they're gonna have to like a horror release.
Yeah. I've noticed that too with VSAs is that sometimes they get a little cheeky and they're like, yeah, well, it's not an action movie, but we'll stuff it in there. Like Boggy Creek too. And
Yeah, yeah.
like I say, Grave Secrets, like those don't really fit, but they're in there. This
Well,
one
they,
seems like that. It's very wacky.
yeah, yeah, it's out of left field. I think they started as just a label that was like things you would find on a video store shelf,
Interesting.
and then just kind of like moved over to action. So, this is a Canadian movie. Eugenie Joseph is the director who probably is most well known for finishing Spookies. But I feel like, and maybe I'm off on this, but I feel, one of the partner labels is called Canadian International.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've put out a Jeannie Joseph movie because I think she goes by Jeannie Joseph. But I feel that they've put out, uh, shoot, one of her movies, but I'll have to, I didn't have that research ready, but I feel like this is somebody who's already in their catalog before. Um,
Hmm.
she was a. I wonder is this? Wait a minute. Is she? Oh, she's a adult film actor.
Interesting.
Man, she was trying to make it. She was trying to break off and make it for herself. Oh, she was in Misbehaving. That's awesome. The
Adult
coming of
film
boys.
actor and a director. That's it's a very cool career.
I know. Okay, so yeah, so this has me sold on this one. I mean, I'll get it anyways, but like, what's in the mind of Jeannie Joseph? It's a chance to find out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I noticed that Skip Lackey was in it, and he was in Once Bitten, which was one of Jim Carrey's first films.
oh yeah, you're right. You're right, you're right. Oh, they got Jeannie to come on and do the commentary track. Okay. Oh shit, with Skip Lackey. Okay.
Hmm.
That's like a must listen commentary track.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the stories that Jeannie has?
Oh, I know. Oh wow,
Yeah,
they have a making of documentary as well.
that's cool.
So those are always I love those.
Heck yeah. Oh, Skip Lackey's all over it because he's the writer too, not just the lead actor. Okay. That makes sense. And then they bring in Cinematic Void podcast. Man, there's like I don't get it. There's all these podcasts. Like I feel like I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've never heard of Cinematic Void. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Um, but so adult film star Jeannie Joseph, her zany sci-fi comedy
Yeah.
from 1987. And then they actually have two. So in for their 50th title, which is probably I'm assuming just a coincidence, they went for a fairly decent sized title. Like I feel like I saw Dial D for Demons on shelves when I was going to the video store. Like I feel like I know this title, even though I haven't seen it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with this one. Dial D for Demons.
It's an Asian film that came out in. So you were mentioning Dr. Lamb earlier. There's a tie-in here for you.
Oh, interesting.
It's the same director. Um, it says he trades in his usual sex and violence for style and tension, resulting in a more atmosphere-driven ghost story. But I don't
Hmm.
think this is a Cat 3 film. I think it's just from this guy. I think
I
it's
gotta
just,
say, like this era also interests me. Came out in 2000, which is not, that's not common for Vinegar Syndrome. I feel like a lot of their stuff leans towards 80s, 70s,
yeah,
even
sure.
like 90s. So that's Yeah, six young yuppies get into some trouble.
But like, if you're gonna do a film from 2000, getting a film from the director of Dr. Lamb is a pretty good way to go.
Oh yeah.
Like, I could even see it just being one of those things where they got the movie and they're like, okay, which line does it fit in the best? Because we got to put this out. Um, is there, okay, I think, let's see what else is. So there's a video essay from Sam Deegan. Shout out to Sam.
Yeah.
Podcast on Fire is back, which is cool. They always do a good job. One of the actors does a 13-minute, I guess, interview.
Hmm.
And that's it. But yeah, they always have a poster with the VSA stuff. Um,
Yeah,
so
the video essay specifically that interests me because it's the bloody legacy of Billy Tang. So hopefully you'll go into a little bit of his work. I'm unfamiliar with him outside of Dr. Lamb.
yeah, he was willing to go to some dark places. So it'd be interesting to see. That. I'm excited. I agree with you. But this is, I mean, if you look at the cast, like Jordan Chan from Biozombie, Terrence Yen from New Police Story, like this is a pretty stacked cast of kind of Cat 3 cast. So they must have, I mean, obviously they knew Billy Tank from just working with him. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Dial D for Demons. So we are now at 50 VSAs. We're almost through the Vinegar Syndrome stuff before we get to Ocean. So this is a movie that it's been really interesting to watch the reaction to this. So Cinematographe, speaking of their sub-labels with a lot of releases, I can't believe Cinematographe is already up to 10. Feels like they
Yeah,
came out
they've been pumping
yesterday.
him out.
Yeah. Good for Justin though. I mean, as far as I can tell, they're selling pretty well, and I
Yeah.
think it's his baby. Have you had much experience with William Castle movies?
Just the House on Haunted Hill,
Nice.
but he's he's such an interesting director. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh, Shanks, like that kind of doesn't really tell me much. And then I saw William Castle, and that was immediately like my ears rung.
Hell yeah. The thing I love about William Castle is he's one of these guys that like his promotions for his movies were sometimes better than the films themselves.
Yeah.
So there's a video essay on here by Daniel Kramer and an interview with one of the actors, an interview with the producer, and then some film historians. Kim Newman, who's badass at like anything British. So I hope they get into the promotions for this movie because every time I hear a story about William Castle's promotions, I'm always like, oh, that guy's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like parking ambulances outside the theater and giving people throw up, you know, the typical stuff for like, this movie's gonna wreck you.
Yeah, and it says the final film from William Castle, which I'm always interested in like a director's first and final film.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, mid 70s character driven horror and fantasy.
And I'm always drawn to the sentence, a decidedly surrealist amalgamation of quirky fantasy. Like, I'll see anything with that description.
Yeah. I don't even know what the fuck that is. So that's
Yeah.
like that kind of interests me.
Doesn't matter. I'm a big surrealist fan, so anything with that term, I'm in. I have to be honest, the opening sentence is compelling. A deaf, mute, reclusive puppeteer.
Oh yeah.
So they've got me sold on this in a variety of ways. Have you had much experience with Cinematograph? Have you seen any of the stuff that he's putting out?
Um, I don't think I've seen any of the films to my knowledge, but I think I've seen a little bit of Touch. That was the one where I was familiar with. All the other ones though, no, like they're all kind of new titles to
Just a light touch. Sorry.
me.
easy, but this face, this we're sharing a screen for everybody at home who's listening as we're going through this, and the face this guy's making right now is like, I want this in a GIF
Yeah.
or an image.
It looks like
Uh,
half Evil Dead, half Orgasm.
totally. There's a an essay by Heather Drain, which is I'm super excited about, and they also got film critic Alexandra Heller Nicholas, and then a film professor Murray Leader. These are like you were talking about heavy hitters on what Vinegar Syndrome is able to get as far as film historians. It's hard to get better than that kind of one, two, three punch. So
Yeah, absolutely. I also see Kim Newman as an audio commentary, and I'm familiar with him because he's been on a lot of Seven releases. I've heard him talk about the Video Nasties and the Cannibal films. So he's an intelligent guy. I'm interested to see what he has to say about this film.
yeah, I'm gonna break a cardinal rule and search here while we're talking. But wasn't he on? Who's the guy on the Bollywood horror? So this Bollywood horror set from Mondo Macabro.
Mhm.
There's a hilarious, like not hilarious. It's actually very well done, but it's just a real quirky dude, and I hope that's Kim Newman. And I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll cut this part out. Um,
Kim Newman's got the stash and the long hair,
Oh,
a little
Tim
balding in the
Paxton.
front.
Sorry, Tim Paxton. No, no, never mind, never mind. I'll take that part out. Um, yeah. So, like every single release on this month, I mean, if you're looking from a see, I always talk about this idea of like one of the reasons I like Vinegar Syndrome is that they're preserving these movies that probably wouldn't have a chance otherwise, right? Like
Yeah,
going back to the first release of the month, Ghost Dance, like this movie doesn't have a chance.
no,
But when you get like these film historians on here that like really know their stuff, it's cool because it's like not only are you preserving the film, digitizing it, making it last longer, but you're getting the context around it. And I don't know. I think it's I really like the work they do.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a really varied month. Like there's so much. Like although like I'd say like the majority are horror, like even within that sphere, like there's so many different subgenres covered here.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree, man. That took a while, but we did it. There's a lot to say on each one of these.
Yeah.
So let's go over the partner labels real quick, and we're not going to go over one by one, but just kind of scrolling through. There's some ones this month that really stood out to me. Some in a great way, some in a like, what?
Yeah.
So just kind of scrolling through, like, are there any that jump out to you, either excited or you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, the two that really stuck out to me that I was excited about were the Reflecting Skin from Film Movement Classics
Yeah,
and Fear.com from Dark Star.
yeah.
Those are two films that were just eternally on my watch list. Fear.com was a film that I watched a lot with my sister growing up.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty terrible, but like I think it's fun terrible. It's like that 2000s trash along with like Cry Wolf. Like I don't know, I'm a slut for those movies, so that one I'm definitely picking up. I
How,
did
there-
uh I did find it interesting that they're doing a Shudder documentary.
yeah, you read my mind. I was just about to ask about that. So they're putting out a documentary on found footage films.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen this on I've seen this on Shudder just like randomly for like a couple of years now.
mhm.
Never actually watched it, but I think it's so interesting that it's getting a physical release. Like that's like the last thing I would have expected.
Yeah. Who is it? The Cauldron films had a month where they put out some found footage stuff. And there's been a few labels that have like they'll put out like one or two found footage movies here and there, but I don't think there's really ever been like a like we're talking about Hong Kong movies all day, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's ever been sort of a movement around found footage in that way and from the boutique world.
No, you kind of get these weird one-offs like
Yeah,
101. Actually, 101 covered two of them, right? I mean, they got like if you want to count Ghost Watch, and then they did the last broadcast,
true, true.
which is a little bit of a sleeper hit. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I wonder if it's a rights issue or if they're just not, there's not enough within that subgenre that interests like the people putting out these movies.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like they have like a small but loyal fan base. Like if you talk to, like I'm kind of neutral on them to be honest. Like I'm fine. I don't hate them. I think they're fine.
Mm.
But when you find the people that like a found footage film, like they really like it. Like they're all in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they just maybe don't put out 2,000. Maybe put out 1,000. But I feel like it would sell.
Yeah. No, I agree.
The one there's an artwork that grabbed me. So there's this Greek sort of god and goddess looking artwork on XYZ release called Give Me an A,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it here on the screen. I don't know. I think it's just a really stunning piece of artwork.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. I'm not sure what the film even is. Is it a documentary or?
So 17 films from 17 filmmakers.
Oh.
It's women protecting and securing the right to. I guess it's all about abortion,
Oh,
which
so it's like a anthology.
I guess so. It's an anthology film, and it looks like it has a screaming vagina as part of the artwork, which is instantly compelling.
Wow, Virginia Madsen and Alyssa Milano are in there. All right, yeah, so this actually a bit more of an interesting release.
Yeah, yeah, they've got a bunch of strong female voices that are all directing like segments, I guess. Um, and now the artwork makes more sense. So I guess give me an
Yeah.
A for abortion, and she's kicking a Supreme Court justice in the nuts, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, but that so I'm instantly excited about anything that um, what's it called? VHS Hit Fest puts out.
Mhm.
So this month they put out a movie called Night. I know nothing about it, but I'll buy it in a heartbeat. Have you ever seen they had a movie called Corn Shucker?
I haven't, but the actual guy on the cover is Nightmare Fuel.
Oh yeah. Just wait till you watch the movie. It's awesome. Like you know, people like throw around Jalo. Like even today we found something as like a Hong Kong movie where they said like inspired by Jalo or whatever.
Mhm.
And people throw around all these terms. People throw around Lynchian like too much.
Yeah,
But this is just straight up like David Lynch could have made this movie if he had like $500. This is the movie he would have made.
interesting.
It's so bizarre and like uncomfortable and like you're it doesn't feel like you're in any kind of reality, like you're in this weird dream space, but like they capture the tone perfectly. Like it was so compelling. Um, so I'm a fan of VHS. Like, you know, this dude Dan Kinham that runs that just he just watches like countless movies and pulls out something that has something interesting to say.
Yeah.
Immediately a fan. Um,
Yeah, and Night looks like some sort of vampire film set in the city,
yeah.
and that's gonna be interesting to see with the budget.
Larry Fessenden likes to do that, like vampire but in a city kind of stuff. Like he's like a werewolf but in a blank. Like he likes to do that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So I don't know if this is a Larry Fessenden style movie, but I
Yeah.
know he's another one that likes to do that. Um, Freaking ETR Media is back with. They're like they've become this like nostalgia factory.
Yeah.
I had to give up. I don't buy any of their stuff anymore. I don't like a talking head documentary about He-Man. Like I don't know, man. Like I loved He-Man growing up. Like that was prime time. I'm 42, so that was like prime time, like my cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a bunch of people talking about the fact they loved it and stuff. Like I can't do it, man. Like I get it.
Yeah, this is such an interesting like partner label because they have multiple documentaries talking about like old video games like N64 games and Sega
Yeah,
games. I
yeah.
actually do want to check out the Sega documentary. That's fascinating to me. And then they'll put out something like the Outwaters. So it's it's an interesting bunch. I've seen Masters of the Universe, like the film with Dolph Lundgren,
Oh
but
yeah,
that's my only exposure to He-Man.
That's all you need. That movie's awesome. It's
It
universally
does rule.
good. The movie is awesome.
So I did I did want to point out, if this is all right, I did want to point out Murder Party. I saw a lot of people really excited about that one.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I believe it's a '07 like comedy horror flick. I know I've seen that image of the dude with the weird like hat and the chainsaws like plenty of times. Have you seen this film? Are you like,
No, I
familiar
don't
with
mean to
it?
sound like a curmudgeon, but I have like zero interest in this. Like, so if someone writes and tells me it's amazing, like I'll check it out. But like,
Yeah.
I saw everybody getting excited about it, and I was like, why? But maybe it's awesome. I don't know. What were you gonna say about it? I'm sorry to be a wet blanket.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's just it's one that I was kind of I had the same reaction as you. Like I was a little bit shocked. And for anybody who is in our Discord server and knows the people in there, it was surprising to me that a 2000s horror comedy at that was one that everybody was getting hyped about. So it kind of made me want to check it out. Maybe not to buy, but I'm sure I could find it streaming, and then if I want to buy it, but
Yeah, I had that. I bought, I like bought all these release like my month pre-orders today, and I was hovering over it, and I was like, I just can't, man. Like I'll risk it that I get like the standard edition. I'm fine.
yeah.
But
The one thing that did like along with that was like really like okay, maybe this is good. The filmmaker made The Green Room, which is a fantastic movie.
true,
So, there's a
true.
little extra reason to watch it.
Not the Green Mile.
No, not The Green Mile.
And I mean it's selling like crazy. They put out 2,000 copies and it's already down to 917, so
Oh wow, yeah.
it's selling like hotcakes. Grab it if you want it, if you're all in. Magnolia Pictures is an interesting one. They have like a lot of independent stuff. So I'm a fan of Magnolia Pictures, but I don't know. I'll wait on this one a little bit. I might get
Fair.
to it. I always pick up anything from Bleeding Skull, so they have a new release this month. Is it sold out yet? Because lately they've been selling out in like 10 minutes. Holy hell. Yeah, man. Like,
Wow.
I mean, they put out 1,000, and so we're recording this on the first, at like 9 o'clock, 10, 11 Eastern, I guess, almost. And it's down to 196 already, so this thing will be gone too.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's cool. Like I've had a chance to speak to Joseph Zimba, and there's a long lost episode that I recorded a whole episode of the Bleeding Skull crew, and I forgot to hit record,
Oh,
and so like we've just been trying to record it again. But they're cool as hell. Like they're people I want to support. Um, Annie Choi, like as a writer, she's
mm,
like she's like this like passionate defender of low budget cinema, and she's like not joking around. Like she's militant. It's awesome. She's like,
yeah.
no, these movies are great, and like the way she writes about it, like I love it. So she's got a cool voice, and Joseph Zamba's always championing like independent and low budget cinema and stuff. So I'm a huge fan of them. I'm happy their stuff's selling out.
Yeah.
Um, the only other one I think just it's kind of funny. It made me laugh a little bit that there's three Dude Bro Party Massacre movies.
Oh, do you not know?
What?
This is the other two are lost. This is the only one that it does a little bit of a Thanksgiving 3 situation. So this
Oh,
is the only dude bro party massacre, which I hate that. I hate when movies do that.
oh no, I
And
don't know the story at all.
yeah, they they just did it as a joke, like, oh, dude bro party massacre 3, but there's no 1 and 2.
Okay, fair enough. That's fun then.
I actually have seen this film, and it's not my cup of tea. It's not
Okay.
my kind of comedy horror. I feel like it kind of is a little bit in vain with something like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, which oddly enough, I like that more. But if you are into that, this might be up your alley. Very hokey though. There's some bad CGI in it, so you got to know what you're getting into with this one.
It is it of all the labels to put out a movie like this, it's from Decanologue.
Yeah, that was the weird part to me because I feel like they put out like some higher end films, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
I've seen some like artsy stuff from them. So them
yeah.
putting out Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 was strange.
Maybe Elijah just likes it.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Shudder has a bunch of releases this month. Film Movement Classic is over. Saturn's Core. There's another one from Factory 25. So I mean, there's Connie has another one. Connie might quietly be my favorite partner label. Like, have you actually seen any of the stuff they put out?
I haven't, no.
So there's this really interesting thing with them. When I don't know anything about Carnal, which is the movie that's out this month. It looks like
Mm.
maybe another Filipino movie by the name of the director. Let's see. Yeah, Filipino. Yeah. So it's a Filipino gothic horror set in the 1930s. That's cool. Um, but all of their movies have like a little bit of like kind of surrealism or a little bit of like big imagination or a little bit of like something creatively in them that's like that just makes you kind of like stop and pay attention.
Mm.
Um, and they're like the two people that like run Connie are just like these incredibly sweet people. So the stuff they like, even if it's people's heads getting blown off or like gory stuff or like sexually charged stuff, there's like a sweetness in all the movies that they find these like genre and exploitation films that seem to always have like a sweetness.
Mm.
There's some exceptions, but like a lot of their catalog is these like really kind of cool, like well balanced, like sweet movies. So I don't know what Carnal's gonna be since it's horror month. Maybe it's a little different, but I'm a huge fan of Connie.
Yeah, I was reading the description there and it said a Filipino film from the 80s that is set within the 1930s and has a gothic atmosphere. So all of that sounds so weird together. So that's, yeah, I might have to check that one out.
That's awesome. Um, let's see. I mean, we did it. We got through it, man.
Did.
Um, before we go on to the main thing you wanted to talk about tonight. Thanks for doing this with me. How was it going through a bunch of titles that you didn't know much about?
No, no problem. It was interesting, you know, because I could find something that I knew about each or something that interested me in each, which, you know, if it was just a bunch of films that I found boring, it wouldn't be any fun. But there's something, you know, I think that's gonna make me look back at like old Vinegar Syndrome titles or new ones coming out and be like, okay, can I find a nugget in here that makes me interested in this film?
Do you want to talk about the Discord for a second? I mean, just before we get into the Halloween special.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we have a Vinegar Syndrome Discord for fans of Vinegar Syndrome, but it's kind of turned into like bigger than that at this point. It's more like a physical media server where you know people just talk about all different labels. We have so many categories within the actual server, but at its heart, it's Vinegar Syndrome. So you know, there's a lot of excitement when these releases come out. There's a lot of hype in the server. We're doing a Halloween watch challenge right now, which has been pretty fun seeing people get into that. So if you guys are listening and you've yet to join, you're a fan of Vinegar Syndrome, you want to talk to people that are also into these movies, definitely join. It's an open server, you know, so anybody who's a fan of these films is welcome.
You know the funny thing that I wasn't expecting when I joined the VS Discord is like there are art house snobs on there that like you wouldn't expect to like Vinegar Syndrome stuff, but like
Hmm.
they're ardent defenders of it. And like there's people that are super into like Asian cinema or like super into, like going deep into like SOV stuff. Like literally like there's so many different tastes on there. I don't know, it's kind of cool. I think it's a good representation of why people like Vinegar Syndrome anyways.
Yeah, no, I think in that server, if you bring up a movie, there will be at least one person you'll be able to talk to. about whatever movie you're talking about, which I always find interesting. And if you guys want to, chat with me or add me, and you'll probably see me going on the chat. My Discord username is Moof Cabbage, which brings up mixed feelings, I think.
And then if you're feeling brave, you can take a quick shot of something strong and scroll through horny jail and then erase it from your
Yeah.
memory. All right, let's get into the main attraction, I guess.
This is Eric. Eric Binford.
Double-crossing squealers, both of you.
I go to a lot of movies. It's my thing.
You know what I do to squealers?
Why don't you live in the real world with the rest of us?
If you're so smart, Stella, tell me what James Cagney's name was in White Heat.
Binford he's sick in the head. He's like retarded or something.
Here's to us, top of the world.
I'm a great admirer. I just wanted to meet you.
Happy birthday to you.
I once went to 3 movies every day for a year, and I never missed once.
I can't picture the creature who'd want to marry you. Tell me, who is this unlucky girl?
Marilyn Monroe.
So here's what I'm thinking we do. What if we go back and forth? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I don't think we like rank them. I would never be able to rank the ones that I'm picking. But like, let's just kind of talk. So the theme, you want to introduce the theme you brought to me?
Sure. So I figured, we're in October, it's spooky season, beginning of the month. People are going to want some stuff to watch during the month of October that might be a little bit more like horror themed spooky. So we were talking and I said we should come up with, 3, 4, 5 films, however many we want to come up with, and bring them to the audience and be like, hey, these are some films you might want to check out this month. So I think we both have our selection.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if we cross paths at all, if we have some of the same ones. I hope not, but that would be interesting at the same time.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. It was fun to do this. As I mentioned before, I completely missed the assignment. So we're going to be doing 2 parallel themes here. And I'm sorry. I chose 5 horror movies that I just love from their catalog, and I went with a little more fun, crazy stuff as opposed to some of the more intense stuff. So let's see what happens. But you want to kick us off with one of your first ones?
For sure. All right, let's see. I'm going to kick off with one that I think, so a little bit of background. This one doesn't really have necessarily, and this wasn't necessarily the goal either, but it doesn't really have Halloween vibes. It gives off more of a summer vibe, but something about it just like gets me into the mood. But Fade to Black,
Oh, hell yeah.
which,
Okay.
yep, early 80s slasher. And I think what really stuck out to me that really was like, oh, this would be perfect for Halloween season is that the killer dresses up as like horror icons. And he
Yep.
has so many different like quirky costumes, and they always relate to the different kill that he has. So if you guys haven't seen Fade to Black, it's a pretty interesting movie. I think Mickey Rourke is in it. So it's like one of those films where like you'll see a star from later on that is just in one of these wacko early 80s slasher films. Um, the main performance is both fantastic and terrible. Eric Binford, he's a very interesting character, and there's some scenes where I'm like, wow, that was like shockingly good, and then other scenes where I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Um, I think it's one of the best in the catalog, and it's a pretty old title, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's one of the earlier Vinegar Syndrome releases that I can think of.
Well, that's what I
You're
was gonna.
not.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, 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 go ahead.
I'm just gonna say you're not gonna get a slipcover on that one. At least not an original one. They have rewards points for it, but those are far out of print. But the standard, you get you get the movie, you get the special features, all the good stuff.
It's funny. This is the problem with Vinegar Syndrome, right? They've been putting out so many movies. It actually wasn't released that long ago. It's 338.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It feels like it was released 10 years ago.
Yeah, it does.
But this is one that I think like if Kino released this title, you'd be like, yeah, like, it kind of makes sense. Or like
Yeah.
Scream Factory released it, you'd be like, yeah, okay. Like I think this is one of those ones for them that was like, this is just like there's no, you don't have to like qualify it at all. This is just kind of a good like, fun horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, 338. So, okay, then I'll go. So I have probably um, a little bit too strong of an obsession with trauma stuff. I just love even the movies from trauma that I hate, which there are many. Like
Yeah.
I love the spirit of it. Like I'm just I'm obsessed with this idea that this dude just like built a world around himself, making like taking the AIP like Roger Corman model and saying, "Man, those are big budgets,"
Yeah.
and doing like half again or whatever. And like one of my favorite, not trauma made films, but trauma distributed films, is a movie. Excuse me, I got something going on, but it's a movie from 1989, which is we don't have to get into this now, but is my favorite year of film and at all is 1989, and it's called Blades. Have you seen Blades?
I haven't. I own it though.
Straight up, like scene by scene rip off of Jaws. If Jaws the shark was a industrial sized lawnmower,
Yeah.
it was like possessed and started chopping up people in a country club. Um, it's like the reason I like Blade so much is it's like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of those 80s spoofs like Spy Hard or like Kentucky Fried Movie or like those big 80s spoofs. But
Mhm.
like it feels like one of those. Like it doesn't feel like a low budget movie at all. It feels like
Yeah.
it could slip right in and just be like a good classic like satire. Um, but it hits all the horror beats, so it's something I always recommend.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to finally watch my copy this October.
So good. What's your next one?
So my next one is actually a part of a box set, and my next one is Poison for the Fairies.
Okay.
I forget the full-on name. I want to say it was Mexican Gothic set. Carlos Enrique Tabayora. I don't know how to spell that or pronounce that, but I got it. Poison
Uh,
for the Fairies. I feel like that was probably the big title that people were looking forward to in that film. It's about two little girls that are best friends in this town, and there's one of them, her grandmother might be a witch, and there's kind of a mystery around that the entire film. And the girl has this like aura around her, where people think she's evil and they think her family's evil. It's a really fascinating film, and it's beautiful. Like to actually, like just visually, the cinematography is wonderful. And the ending is extremely fucked up. So I won't spoil it, but just know that going in, that ending is probably going to fuck you up for days.
okay.
Um, yeah, it's an interesting piece of Mexican cinema. I hadn't really seen many Mexican films, let alone Gothic films, so it really turned me onto the whole genre from that like area of the world in general. Have
And
you
it's
seen
got
this
that
one?
like no, no, I haven't. It's got that like Hammer vibe to it, I guess you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. No, I haven't. In fact, in mid-month, mid-October, there's gonna be somebody called named Armando from the Trash Mex podcast coming on and doing like a whole discussion just on Mexican horror films from Vinegar Syndrome.
Oh
So
wow.
I really appreciate the heads up. I'll make sure I watch this one to sound to so I can be a part of the discussion.
Yeah, no problem.
Sounds like a good one. That's cool. Well, on the other end of the spectrum from a gothic, intelligent, well-made, thoughtful horror film is a schlocky piece of crap that I am like, is just one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Um, 1993. Oh, I don't know, favorite horror movies of all time. That's probably a bit of a stretch, but I love this movie. Um, there's a director named Tony Randall who's was around
Yep.
horror a lot, but like the producer, more importantly, the producer's Brian Usna. And if I was ever going to get a tattoo of anybody from like the horror film world, it would be "In Usna We Trust." I love that dude's like batshit insanity. Like he goes big. And so when he produced a movie called Ticks, he walked on set and he was like, "Where the hell are the ticks?" And they're like, "These little things here." He's like, "No, no, 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 no. We're gonna make them big and squishy." And I love that about Brian Usna. Like
Yeah.
he's like, "No, no, no. These are horror movie fans. Like we gotta make these ticks big."
Yeah.
And like, and everyone talks about Usna for the ending of Society, which is deserves all of whatever it gets.
Yeah.
But like I love ticks. So it's VS 375 and yeah, I'm a huge, huge fan of this movie.
Love it. That one's been on my wish list forever. I gotta pick it up. Yeah, Brian Usna and Clint Howard is in that,
Yeah,
so there's a
yeah,
lot.
Clint Eastwood.
There's a lot I love.
He has
Um,
some fantastic lines in it too. What's next?
my next one, I'm gonna match you with the schlockiness.
All right.
My next one definitely has more of that autumn atmosphere than the two films previous. It's set in the woods. Shriek of the Mutilated. So, Shriek of the Mutilated is a Yeti slash werewolf slash Sasquatch movie from 1974, and it was directed by Michael Finley, who him and his wife made a lot of, pretty famous like cult films. Um,
Oh
they
yeah.
I went on a whole Wikipedia binge after watching this movie. Um, it's one of the more interesting like Yeti Sasquatch films I've ever seen because it's that plus another kind of horror film that I'm not going to spoil because it is a part of like a twist within the film. Um, but you got to see it to believe it, kind of like that. They mix two completely different genres up together that you never see matching. And the Yeti looks awful, but it's so charming. So if you like charming bad monster movies, like I would recommend strongly.
Well, and we were talking about special features a lot today, but like speaking of special features, they got Roberta Finley to do a commentary track.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like they're all over AGFA and Something Weird, and a lot of sex films as well as obviously some B movie stuff. But yeah, this is a great choice. No, you know what? I almost actually picked that up, but I went with something slightly different. So far we haven't cross stream, so to speak.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Oh yeah, this is VS 399. So you and I have seen that we've kind of lived in the 300 so far.
Yeah.
Staying in there actually. 379 is one of the first Cat 3 films that they put out. I know it's not the first one, but I believe it's one of the first. It's Ebola Syndrome.
Oh, nice.
Um, I just think that's like if you're gonna walk through a list of like, Vinegar Syndrome movies that you have to see, I feel like Ebola Syndrome's on that list, or whether it's 5 titles or 10 titles. Like I feel like just to see this is like the quintessential Cat 3 movie, right? Or one of them.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, gross splatter film, just blood everywhere, like all the batshit beautiful insanity that they have. So yeah, I don't know. I love this one. Have you seen this one?
This one I've only seen parts of. I never finished it, and I am ashamed of that.
No, no, it's okay. This is a good one. It has another commentary track with Sam Deegan, common theme here tonight. But
Yeah.
she gets the love on Cat 3, which is cool. And just there's another commentary with the director, I believe. Yeah, director. Herman Yau's on it. It's just cool. I don't know. This is a crazy film, and I can't believe it came out in 1996. It feels like it's a movie that should have been an 80s movie, but it's fun as hell.
Yeah. All right. Um, my second to last one is it actually isn't mainline Vinegar Syndrome. It's a Vinegar Syndrome Labs title.
Good.
So my next one is The Cat Creeps. This one, I feel like it's not the greatest film like that they put out within that sub label, but it's such a fun, like comfy little watch.
Yeah.
And I think for that, it's worth owning in its own right.
Yeah.
It's like 58 minutes long. It's a black and white murder mystery set in a house with a black cat. It's like perfect Halloween atmosphere. And it's made by Earl C. Kenton, who made like a ton of amazing horror films from that era. I mean, he made Island of Lost Souls and Ghost of Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really interesting film for them to put out. And this was one of the films that really like put me on to the Vinegar Syndrome Labs like sub label because it's just such a weird departure from their normal catalog. So for that, I think it's also worth checking out. If you like murder mysteries, if you like black and white films, I think The Cat Creeps is a good watch.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. That's a great choice. And it puts Vinegar Syndrome into the 40s, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
I never thought they would touch that decade ever.
exactly. If so, like it would have come from like some kind of a like, what's the word? Like band noir or something like that.
Yeah,
Like something that was like or like a sexy noir or something would have like maybe, right?
yeah,
Nope. The cat creep.
yeah. This weird comedy, like murder mystery in a haunted house. It's yeah,
Totally. Well, also equally critically acclaimed and equally beloved by fans of I think cinephiles and the most ardent defenders of good cinema is a 1988 classic featuring Roddy Piper playing
yes, sir.
Sam Hell in Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh yes.
We might be. Is this the earliest title? No, I'm going to go slightly earlier for my next one. This is VS 287. I was going back and forth if this is a horror movie. I mean, maybe.
It's got elements.
Yeah. But it's just such a fun movie. Like, to me, like, if you're gonna have like a party movie, there's a small handful of titles. Like on VSA, they have a movie called Action USA.
Mhm.
But for the VS mainline, like Hell Comes to Frogtown, like this is I can't wait till my son is old enough to sort of appreciate. He's 7 right now. I'll
Yeah,
probably show him Hell Comes to Frogtown when he's like 9 or something. Just like
yeah,
it's not that bad. It's just super interesting. It's funny. I don't know. I can't. It's just a great movie.
yeah. I watched it actually before my Vinegar Syndrome fandom because I
Yeah.
saw Roddy Piper. That was a draw, and yeah, it is such a blast, and the creature effects are fucking rad.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What's your last pick? Or do you want me to go so you get to be the last one since this is your segment?
Um, your call, but
Yeah.
I'm fine with either.
I'll go real quick and then you can take us home. So
Sure.
they put out released 298. They put out a box set of Amityville horror films, like 4 through
Yep.
5, 6, 7, I guess.
Yep.
And my favorite one in my favorite thing about the box set in general is they're like, yeah, we get that a house could be possessed, but what if a clock could be possessed? Or like, what if a lamp could be possessed? Like, they really get.
Yeah.
um, But my favorite one in this is some weird time-bending horror film called Amityville 1992.
Mhm.
It's about time, and there's a lot of reasons I love this one, but it has one of my favorite tropes, which is that they say the name of the movie in the movie. And in the climax of the movie, somebody yells, "It's about time," and I
Yeah.
was sold. Like I already like this movie, but now I'm sold.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, those Amityville films are such a cool like that's such a cool release for them to do, and I'm so
Yeah.
jealous I don't have the actual box for them. That's a horror franchise where I'm like, I am just like, I own them all, but I'm afraid to go into because I'm like, these might suck. It's like the Howling and Children of the Corn, where I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch all of these. Um,
Wait, what do you
something.
mean? What do you mean you owe them all? Because there's like 100 Amityville films.
Okay, so the Amityville, like the official Amityville franchise,
Okay, okay.
that's 1 through 8, the remake, and then a film from like 2017.
Okay.
All the other ones are kind of weird using the name. Um, Something interesting though about these films from Vinegar Syndrome is the mainline titles are actually 4, 6, 7, 8 in the series. 5 was put out by a partner label, and that's Amityville Curse.
Oh,
And I want to
nice.
say
Okay.
that was that Canadian International?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, so weird little history there, but they put out 5 Amityville, actually 6 because they put out the first one in 4K. So I guess this is your Amityville label. Um, so my final one is a biggie. Um, and I felt like this is like probably the most stacked, like most well-known release I'm going to talk about, but mine was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah, I almost picked that one too. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it feels perfect for a send-off. If you guys haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I think it is a masterpiece for like a direct sequel to a horror film. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Gremlins 2 for Texas Chainsaw. Actually, it's even before that.
Uh-huh.
But I always got Halloween vibes from specifically their like lair.
Okay.
It's such an interesting like setting for the film. Like there's dead bodies everywhere. It's almost like a fucked up amusement park. Um, and it's just I don't know, it's just the perfect mix of black comedy and horror. I think this is Leatherface at his best. Caroline Williams is fantastic, and the release is just like arguably the best they've ever done. I mean, that is like such a stacked release, and you could argue this is the biggest film they've ever done. It's definitely up there for one of them.
Yeah.
But if you've never seen it, I mean, you guys owe yourself. You got to see this film. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's cool that a couple things about this. First of all, Toby Hooper's in the collection, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Dennis Hopper's in the mainline collection, which is awesome.
yeah,
Bill Moseley, which is just kind of cool. They've got, Bill Moseley. But yeah, I'm with you, man. My favorite thing when sequels do is they take the original premise and they're like, okay, but what if we just like turned it up a little bit, right?
yeah,
And to me, those are the best sequels.
for sure.
Like they like make the world something different and like interesting and like they play with it a little bit. Like they're no, we get it. Like we get what's good about the first one, but like let's just like tweak it a little bit. And I think Toby Hooper might have one of the best pure sequels like of any franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, like this release has like 30 plus special features on it. So, I mean, if you love the film, then you're gonna love this release.
Um, wow, man, we did it.
We did.
I feel like I have to ask you, and this is kind of putting you on the spot. So
Sure.
we'll see how if you have something on the top of your head. But like, as somebody who loves franchises,
Mhm.
Vinegar Syndrome or not, is there like a go-to franchise for you that, just is like number one, your like comfort food, and then
Mhm.
number two, a franchise that you like didn't expect to like, but you just kind of every movie you watched, you're like, oh no, I love this.
Interesting. Yeah. I think I have two go-tos really. So Halloween and Child's Play are
Okay.
my go-to franchises.
Yeah.
The original Halloween and the original Child's Play were the two first horror films I ever saw.
Nice.
Um, so there's just that bond there, and I think like they're just like they get so weird and wacky in a lot of those sequels. But one that I wasn't expecting to love as much as I did is probably Phantasm.
Oh, nice.
I feel like Phantasm gets slept on because there aren't really fuck Ravager for a sec. There aren't any like modern sequels to that film. There were a lot of weird gaps in between each film, and for some reason, The Tall Man just never broke into the like mainstream like some of those other horror icons. I mean, like Phantasm's a series where if you're a horror fan, you know what it is, but outside of it, you might not. Um, but yeah, those films are just so fun. Like, even though Ravager gets shat on and it does suck for a lot of aspects, I can even find nuggets out of that. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I think Phantasm is very creative, which is fun. The the franchise that I defend and I get shit on the most, but I haven't seen a Hellraiser movie that I didn't like.
dude, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was on the tip of my tongue before I said Phantasm.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
I almost feel like I remember the first time I went through Saw, I was a little bummed that it wasn't just people getting like torn to shreds every movie.
yeah,
But then I was like, oh, these are actually like kind of decent sort of like detective movies, you know?
yeah,
Like I'm enjoying myself, even if the franchise isn't what I was hoping it would be.
yeah,
Uh, but Hellraiser, I feel like, especially when they go direct to video, like there's one dude, and his name is escaping me right now, but he makes like four of the direct to video ones,
yeah,
and he just goes off, man. Like he just takes chances, and like there's one of them that's in like a Russian or Serbian like subway train where there's like a this like ongoing orgy, and
yeah.
you're just like, what am I watching? This is awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I gotta say, like those that franchise specifically and those sequels scream Vinegar Syndrome to me. Like those
yeah,
weird sequels, I'm like
yeah,
that box set would be killer because Arrow's already got the first four on lock, but it's the
right.
ones that after that that are all direct to video. So if you give me like a 5 through 8 box set or whatever, oh, that's an instant pre-order.
Awesome, man. Well, Jaden, Christopher, thank you so much for making some time tonight. Is there, we can see you in the VS Discord under Moof Cabbage.
Yeah,
Um,
correct.
I feel like if anybody wants to come play fantasy football, although we don't really talk sports a lot, um, um, I started off strong and now I'm getting my ass kicked, which I'm not super excited about. I lost to you simply because or I mean, I beat you simply because you forgot to update your roster. But so
Yeah, I
thank
had an
you for
injured
that.
guy in there. I am
No, cute.
perfectly mid at fantasy football.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, man, it's been great getting to know you, and I'm really glad you're able to come on and do this. So thanks for making time for it.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having
Cool.
me on.
Thanks, Jaden.
All right, we are back for our second segment of Merchmaids. What's going on, Jeremy?
Hey, Ryan. Happy to be here on Merchmaids episode 2.
We only got a few things to cover this month as they are clearly bracing for Black Friday coming up. First thing we're going to talk about is this Spookies inspired shirt. I don't think you and I have ever talked about Spookies. What do you think of Spookies?
I am a Spookies fan, but I haven't seen it in a very long time, so I'm not sure if that opinion would hold up.
I love the disc because the documentaries are great. This design is pretty fun too, not
I like this
terrible.
design a lot, yeah.
Are you picking up any shirts this month?
You're going to hear me say this time and time again on this show as we continue to do this segment. I have so many freaking Vinegar Syndrome shirts. I could wear a different one each day and not repeat one for a month. So it's going to have to be a really epic design for me to probably pick one up. But I do like most of the shirts this month, including this orange one.
Well, the second one is an orange one. This is the Tales from the Vinegar Crypt shirt. It is a bright orange shirt. They've done this for Halloween before, I believe. Severin has done a Halloween shirt. A couple other labels have done some Halloween shirts. So this is nice. This one's pretty fun, and I loved it. The box that they've got underneath the TV says Bridgeport, Connecticut.
I like that, and I like some of the titles they have on the what are clearly kind of rental discs here with just a plain cover and the title. My friend Stu would love this one. He's a huge Tales of the Crypt fan. I'll have to
Nice.
show him in case you didn't see it yet.
Well, and then the other Vinegar Syndrome one is a Fade to Black shirt, which I love this movie. I do have the original Fade to Black shirt they did, which was this version. It just was colored white instead of red.
I don't really remember it, but I feel like this red one would look better than the white.
It's a pretty old shirt at this point. Vinegar Syndrome also released a pennant. I'm not much of a pennant person, but I know that there are some people that collect pennants. This seems fun if you're a sports person. I do like the branding that they have of the Vinegar Syndrome woman holding the paddle.
I own one pennant, and it was from a Weird Al bundle years ago. Otherwise, I'm not a pennant collector, but I do like that. They should have the Vinegar Syndrome woman holding a paddle more often.
Well, not to give away anything personal about Jeremy, let's get into the couple other things that we got. Cinematographe has released a shirt and a couple stickers. Lots of stickers coming out this year from Vinegar Syndrome.
Yes, yeah, lots of stickers. Our friend Alex picked these up. They are very cute. I'm also not really a stickers guy, as you know. You know, stickers, pins. A lot of people collect those. Not me, but these are very cute. I like them a lot.
Back in the day when I was in the music scene with a bunch of bands, I was collecting stickers left and right. And now I have, this is the nerdiest thing ever, just a file folder full of stickers and nowhere to put them because I'm a loser.
Not a loser.
Last but not least, Cinematographe has released a Last Picture Show shirt. And it is a pretty interesting design. The front is nice, and on the back it says, "We live in a box of space and time. Movies are windows in its walls." This is a damn fine shirt, which I got to admit fulfills every type of interest that Justin LaLiberty has. This is clearly a Justin shirt.
I gotta tell you, maybe this is embarrassing, but I did not see this one until now. Or something. Maybe I guess it just wasn't looking close enough. I might have to pick this one up. I got to be honest. Yeah, you said it's a Justin LaLiberty shirt. It's a Jeremy Long shirt too, and I don't have a cinematic. No, I do have one Cinematograph shirt from the what was that club? I think they had like a club.
Yeah, it was
like a green tee. It was green.
The Ringer tee. It was themed after Little Darlings. Yeah.
I got that one, but I like this one a lot. I like the style of it. I like the font, and I like the quote. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that one up, to be honest.
Yep, and nothing new on the Melusine site this month. Everything looks great. But the big thing, I mean, 30 titles from OCN, so I guess they were focusing on the films rather than the merch this month.
Oh, Lord, yeah. And it's a banger of a month from them, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Nope, we're here to talk about the merch, and I'm excited because November is going to be big for us talking about Merchmade stuff. They always go crazy during Black Friday. We get stars, we get canisters, we get film trailers. Who knows what's going to pop up next month?
Oh my goodness. Maybe if they're listening to this, they can send me a free Ninja Star since I didn't get one.
Even better, maybe next month we'll see a Merchmade shirt. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll talk to you next month.
Take care, guys.
All right, final segment here. Something that I've been looking forward to because I found a gem this month. So I'm calling this the Convincing Holly segment, where I defend a film I love to a person I love who most likely will not love this movie. I saw something since the last time I recorded that I knew instantly was going to be it for this segment. So VS number 243 is an Australian body horror, sploogey, slimy, squishy, splatter horror film called Body Melt. It's gross, and it's not something that I think a lot of people would want to sit through. Similar vibe to like a society type of thing. It's about people that take supplements to get healthy, and they live in this they want to create this like perfect human, unfortunately the formula goes wrong and starts eating them from the inside. And the horror scenes in this movie are gross and squishy and everything I said. It's a very disgusting movie. But the reason I think it's worth watching is, first of all, it's fun. It's just if you look at we always talk about how Italian cinema was kind of dying, well, genre cinema anyways, was kind of dying by the 80s, 90s. It was kind of on life support. The Ozploitation movement in Australia went through somewhat of a similar timeline. And this was, the genre, the studios were not producing a lot of really great horror films in the 90s. But this is one that snuck out. And the backstory on the director and the creator, this guy named Philip Brophy, is probably as interesting as the movie. This guy's a real sort of Andy Warhol type where he's in like a lot of mixed media. He has, it's not called The Factory, but he has a group that he's built up of artists, and, he supports them, and he's a musician, and, he's all over as a fascinating character in the, I guess, like Australian and somewhat international art scene. And he makes this movie that's, he sees as people's obsession with beauty and kind of pumping things in their body without knowing any of the side effects, and how susceptible we are to marketing, and a lot of the themes that are going to pop up in surrealist artists or kind of anarchic artists, right? And I think it's not subtle in not only visually, but the message is certainly not subtle. But yeah, the movie's fun, and I think if you can sort of adjust your palette to the grossness of it, it's like Nickelodeon level of like ooze and goo, right? If you can kind of adjust yourself to it, I think underneath is a movie that's fun. And I'm not going to say it's profound, because again, the metaphors are not subtle, but I think it's fun, and I think it's yeah, it's a movie that um, for people that are like watching horror movies that they haven't seen before, something unique. If you're in the mood for something different, and going in that it's going to be gross, you don't want to be eating a plate of pasta when you're watching this. But if you can kind of mentally prepare for it, I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a good body horror movie. It's got some similar vibes to early Peter Jackson. I don't mean to say that because they're from the same area, but you can tell here's a director that had a lot of freedom creatively, and really has a big imagination. There's a lot of crazy deaths in it, as far as the way people are dying from this medicine that's kind of eating them out from the inside, literally. So yeah, Body Melt, 1993. Check it out if you have a chance. And that we did it. I mean, this is the horror, month for Vinegar Syndrome, so it's a big month for them. They have a lot of titles. I mentioned this earlier. We're gonna have fun talking about some of the September titles, which include some horror movies, and focus on Mexican cinema from Vinegar Syndrome in the middle of the month. I'm really hoping, now that I'm declaring this publicly, that I can make it work scheduling with Armando from Trashmex. But super excited, and to talk about Mexican horror and just kind of Mexican films in general from Vinegar Syndrome with one of the experts in the area. So tune in the middle of the month, come back, check it out. Very excited for that episode, and hopefully we'll have some more Vinegar Syndrome folks in for November. All right, see y'all later.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.